Well, hey, hello again, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Experience Maker. My name is Dan Gingiss, customer experience virtual speaker. That virtual word is still there, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Virtual speaker, coach, author, and consultant. And I'm so happy to have you here for episode 17 of my little weekly show on LinkedIn and Periscope called The Experience Maker. Every week we bring a new interview of somebody who is making a difference in the customer experience world, who is an experience maker themselves or teaches other people to be an experience maker. And this week I am super excited to introduce you to a guy from across the pond in the UK who is known as the CX Rockstar. Now, that is not a title like guru or expert, or I've heard ninja, other types of things. This is not like a made-up title, because this guy is actually a rock star. James Dodkins, welcome. So happy to have you here on the show. How's it going, man?
It's going well. Did you say this is episode number 17?
Episode number 17, yes. Does that mean something to you?
That's my lucky number.
Outstanding. You see, we picked this. We made this happen.
It is now, anyway. It wasn't before, but it is now.
Okay, good. So, well, I appreciate that. I'm glad that you've adapted you're so adaptable.
That's me.
So tell us a little bit about James Dodkins for those who are unfortunately have lived their whole lives without knowing who you are yet.
Well, so my name is James Dodkins. I used to be an actual real life legitimate award-winning rock star, but now I'm not. Now I'm a customer experience rock star. People say, what is that? What does that mean? Well, essentially, me and my team travel around the world putting on musical keynote talks about customer experience. Well, we used to before all this happened. And hopefully I will again. But that is the reason I'm the customer experience rockstar, because the keynote talks are all musically themed. I play guitar in them. They're super cool. I do a lot of other stuff as well. I produce a lot of video content. I've recently been named as the UK's #1 customer experience influencer. And I've got a show on Amazon Prime called This Week in CX. So that's me. Nice to meet you.
Outstanding. You know, I couldn't help but point out that I haven't been on this show yet, James.
What, on this week? Well, there are reasons for that. One,
go ahead, tell us. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, no. There's two main reasons. I will tell you the reasons. Number one, it's kind of like a late night talk show style thing, but without guests. It's essentially me making fun of things that have happened. You know, like what's his face and that other guy, like John Oliver, and that's about the only one I know.
What's his face and the other guy? I know what you're talking about.
Night show. It's like that. And the other reason is I've stopped doing it for a while. So
gotcha. All fair. Those are fair excuses.
Yeah.
So tell me how you got into let's start with the Rockstar business. Now, I have had the privilege of seeing you speak, of watching and listening to you. But how did you get into the musical side first?
What you mean, like back in the day when I first started playing music?
And also kind of what gave you the idea to meld that with customer experience? It's not an obvious melding, although you pull it off very well.
Thank you. So when I left the music business, I toured the world, released albums, had a video on TV, was in magazines. I did the next logical thing. I took the next logical step and went and worked for an insurance company. So I worked my way up through that insurance company, and I kind of realized pretty early on that, that wasn't going to be the end game for me. I left that insurance company, and when I left that insurance company, I sort of took stock of the stuff I was doing. And when I was at that company, we had a lot of really expensive, crappy consultants come through, and I was like, oh, man, I could be a really expensive, crappy consultant. So I did that, and I became a really expensive, crappy consultant. But the problem was, throughout this entire time, I'd created the corporate persona for myself. I'd never told anybody about my music career. And of course, from time to time, people would recognize you and they'd be like, hey, did you used to play guitar in a band? I'd be like, shh, don't. But yeah, I never told anyone, because I felt it came with, like, people would have preconceived notions of who I was and what I was about. And yeah, they'd probably be true, and that's the problem. I didn't want them to think that. So I created this corporate persona, suit and tie, briefcase, and that translated over into the consulting world, where I was traveling around the world, training and consulting companies, mainly on customer-centric process improvement. We can have a conversation about that later. But I was miserable, man, because I wasn't being myself. I was being this person who I thought a business person had to be. I had a sort of a stereotype in my mind of this is a business person. If you want to be successful in business, that is how you have to behave. But I was miserable. And, you know, in the customer experience space, it grew very quickly. And every day there was a new customer experience guru and a new customer experience specialist and a new customer experience expert popping on the scene. And it was becoming harder and harder to actually differentiate the work that I did. And lots of things converged at once. But then I heard a quote from Jerry Garcia from Grateful Dead. You heard of him?
Yeah, I've heard of him.
Cool. Now, the quote is, this quote made me look at everything completely differently. So I hope this is good for you guys watching as well. The quote is, don't try and be the best in the world at what you do. Try and be the only person in the world that does what you do. And it hit me all at once. I was like, oh, you know what? I've got this really cool career that I used to do. You know, like I did something that many people would have killed to be able to do. And I've got this other speciality here. Why not put them together and try and talk to people about customer experience in a different way, in a fun way, in a more exciting way? And that's where the customer experience Rockstar was born. That's where Rockstar CX was born. And yeah, it all sort of came from there. And it made me, I'm a little bit embarrassed I didn't notice it sooner, but there are so many parallels between being a musician and putting on a show for your fans and customer experience. But I kind of realised, oh, there's loads of parallels. I'll just talk about them. So yeah, I try and just spread content and spread the word about customer experience in a different way, in like a fun and interesting way. So I don't know if that answered your question, but I said some things. So.
No, it definitely did. And I think that, I mean, obviously as speakers, we're always trying to do something different and be memorable. And especially as I believe as customer experience speakers, there's even more emphasis on that, right? I always believe, hey, if I'm teaching people how to do customer experience, I better be doing it in a way that's creating an experience for them so that I am showing as I'm teaching, right? It's not just do as I say, it's do as I do. And I'm not nearly as musical as you are, although I have been known to break out into a few notes of singing during my keynotes. But what I loved about your presentation was you mixed into it. And I know, if I recall correctly, the presentation that I saw, this was the first time you had done it, or at least you told us it was the first time you had done it, where you were playing the songs that were based on other songs that had the same kind of riffs behind them. And yeah. And I thought it was fascinating because I really kind of forgot that I was at a conference supposed to be learning, and it really did feel like I was being entertained. And then you brought it together, and it was like, now I understand why he was doing what he was doing. But maybe you can describe the similarities of the song better than I just tried to.
Yeah, well, you are right. That specific part of the talk was brand new at the time. So I'm glad you enjoyed it. I don't want to give too much away because I think when people, when we finally get back out into the world and people see it, I don't want to ruin it for them. But essentially what I'm trying to show with that first little part of the talk is about how we can take influence from other people and other companies. Not about copying what companies are doing, but understanding why they are doing it, understanding the mindsets and the philosophies that go into the creation of those experiences and copy those things. Because look, the best companies in the world didn't become the best company in the world by doing the same as everybody else, but better. Became the best companies in the world by doing things differently. And there's loads of different ways that you can do customer experience differently. Just copying another company isn't going to do that. What you need to do is understand, the outcomes that you deliver as an organization, and look outside of your industry for other companies that are really good at delivering those outcomes as well, and see what you can learn from them, if that makes sense. Do you think that was a good enough, without giving the game away? Good enough
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that it is, it's true. I mean, you hear probably the thing you hear, at least the thing I hear most often from companies is we want to be like Amazon, right? Because Amazon has set up this, multi-billion-dollar Prime program that everybody renews automatically and barely ever asks about the price, and because there's so much value and this and that. And the thing is there's a ton that we can learn from Amazon because they do so many things right. But no one is going to be Amazon because Amazon is Amazon.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you try to be Amazon, they're going to figure out how to out Amazon you, right? So it's not about becoming them, but it is about learning what it is that they do well that we want to repeat with our customers. And for example, I had an employee actually share with me once a very super secret, not public sign that is in their call centers that talks about Amazon's 6 tenets to customer service. And I took that sign, I wrote a blog post about it. And what was amazing to me is those tenets are everybody could copy those. I mean, they're all applicable to other companies. It's just that most companies don't do it. It's about thinking in a customer-centric way about every problem. It's about empowering all of your call center agents to solve problems and not to give excuses. It's about the long game versus the single transaction. These are all strategies that are copyable. It doesn't make you Amazon, but it starts to take what they do well and emulate it.
Well, exactly, man. It's like Amazon are well known for working backwards, understanding the needs and successful outcomes of their customer, and then working backwards towards the solution, the products and services. We can all start doing that in our companies, because the trap that we fall into is we'll make something, we'll make a product or service and go, this is wicked, who wants to buy it? Everyone look at this cool thing, come and buy it. Whereas Amazon flip it on its head. They go out to the customers, understand their needs and successful outcomes, and then work backwards to the products and services that they create. And the thing, you're so right. The amount of people that come to me and say, James, we want to be the Amazon of, and then insert industry here. I was literally really considering writing a book called The Amazon of ... I think just putting a load of stuff in there like, hey, if you want to be like Amazon, do these things. But I'm pretty lazy and can't be bothered. Someone else can do that.
It's like any innovator always wants to be the Uber of their industry. Right?
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah, I bet like investors get really bored of hearing we're going to be the Uber of sandwich making. Okay.
Exactly. Hey, for those that are watching on LinkedIn Live and or Periscope, well, I don't know why it would be and Periscope, so we'll say or Periscope.
Both at once.
Please please write your questions to us directly in those platforms, and I'd be happy to pass them along to James. I got plenty of questions. We could talk for a long time, but I always love taking audience questions as well. So you made reference early on to this 800-pound elephant in the room, which is COVID-19, and the fact that we are all living in a different world right now. I certainly know and can empathize being in a similar industry to you, but tell me about what you've been doing for the last 8 or 10 weeks that we've been in this, and how are you thinking about not just your own business, but also about customer experience?
Yeah, so my plans kind of got screwed up with this, which I'm sure I don't think anybody planned for this. Nobody was like, yes, can't wait for that pandemic to happen. So yes, my plans got screwed up as well. Like being a speaker as well, I had the year all booked up. It was looking wicked. It was going to be my best year yet. And then all of the events got postponed / cancelled. But also with that, I run a training course. I created a training called the Accredited Customer Experience Specialist Training, and it's a training that's for people who want to disrupt customer experience, want to do things differently. We scheduled a whole tour around the UK to go and do those. Can't do those anymore. But luckily, just before everything was kicking off, I kind of saw the writing on the wall. And like, if you guys check out jamesdodkins.com or connect with me on LinkedIn, you'll see loads of video stuff that I post. I've got a videographer that travels everywhere with me, videoing my stuff, making cool little highlight videos, because it's all about content nowadays. And he was at a training session I was doing in London. I was like, dude, can you just film that? Don't do a cool highlight video, just film the training. And he was like, yeah, sure. So we filmed the training being delivered live, watched it back. It was awful. It was seriously like mid-flow talking about a really cool thing, really powerful, really charismatic, and then someone would put their hand up and go, "Excuse me, can you tell me about the thing?" I'm like, "Dude, I'm trying to do the thing." So that didn't work. So I stayed back every night, worked until like almost midnight every night to deliver the training to camera, and I'm so glad that I did, because it must have been like 2 days after that training was over, everything just started to go bad. Everything started to get locked down. So luckily I had the material ready to put it online. So now it's an online course, 25 on-demand videos, 3 modules, and it's proving really popular. And I think it's something I should have done a long time ago. And I'm not glad this happened, but I am glad that I got forced to do it when I did. So yeah, I had to pivot and do that. It's going well at the moment. Lots of people are enjoying it. Lots of new ACXSs around the world, which is fantastic. What was the other part of the question? You can only ask me one at a time.
Oh man. How do you think customer experience? How are you feeling about customer experience more broadly, or what are you telling companies?
Dude, I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I don't know. I don't think anybody knows. This has never happened before. I've never experienced this before. So for me to be like, haha, this is exactly what you should do, would be super hypocritical, man. Because I've got no idea. Absolutely no idea. But fundamentally, I still believe that the fundamentals of customer experience still stand. If you're doing customer experience right in the first place, just keep doing what you're doing, because customer experience isn't about doing specific things. It's about thinking particular ways. And if you're thinking the right way, that's fine, because it's about understanding your customers and then delivering the things that they need. That doesn't change. Yes, their expectations have changed. Yes, their needs have changed. Yes, their successful outcomes have changed. But that shouldn't change the fact that you want to, interact with your customers, learn from your customers, understand what those things are, and then fulfill them. So I don't really think the fundamentals have changed, but disclaimer, I don't know, man. And I don't think very many people that sit here and just go, but I'm being honest, I don't know.
Well, I love the honest answer. And, I think one of the things that's so interesting about right now is that it really is putting everybody on a more even playing field, right? I mean, the honest answer is I don't know either, and neither does anybody else, because we're all experiencing this for the same time. But likewise, what's happening is that we can identify more with our customers now probably than ever before, because for the first time in human history that we know of, at least in our lifetimes, every single person on the planet is going through the same thing right now, or experiencing the same thing. And so to me, it emphasizes some of the key components of customer experience. And you mentioned one of them, knowing your customer. If you don't know your customer right now, look in the mirror. Even if you're not buying your own product, you should know how your customer's feeling, right? They're stuck at home with their family. They're tired of their pets and their kids coming in and interrupting their Zoom calls. They want to just go outside and breathe the fresh air. They're worried about their future. They're worried about their finances, all the things that pretty much all of us are experiencing. And I think the companies that are really getting this right are able to take a step back and say, okay, here's how we normally do business with people. But does that fit in this environment that I just described, which frankly we can all relate to because we're feeling it ourselves? So no, none of us have the answer, but I do think it's really an interesting time that we're all experiencing the same thing at once. Thoughts?
Yeah, it's a really good point, man, because of course, like, you will have come across this before. You're working with people, they're designing new experiences, and of course they've done their research, they've understood the customers. Sometimes they're working with the customers to create the new experiences or improve the experiences, and someone in the room will go, "Oh, I wouldn't like that. I would that." And you go, yeah, you're not designing it for you, you're designing it for this customer. But now we can be like, actually, cool, because we're all in the same boat. Everyone's needs have shifted, everyone's expectations have shifted. We all it's almost brought everybody closer together, because there's lots of like peripheral needs that just aren't as important anymore. It's kind of brought us back to core needs. There are certain things that need to happen in experiences, or businesses are going to struggle.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that needs to happen is uh, a human element. And I think that's one of the key things that's been emphasized. All of this, the result of all of these feelings that we all have right now is this desire for human interaction, right? Because
Yeah,
we're not getting as much of it as we used to. And again, to me, that's a foundation of customer experience. I mean, yeah, you've got digital customer experiences and all the technology that comes along with it, but I've been saying for years, if you're looking at chatbots as a way to get rid of human customer service agents, you're looking in the wrong place. It's not what customers
yeah,
want, and ultimately, that cost saving that you think you're having is going to cost you more in another place. And so, I certainly look forward to the point where we can get back to human interaction. And again, I think the companies that figure out how to do that right and figure out how to, give people what has really been a pent up demand now for some human interaction, I think are going to be the winners that come out of this.
yeah. You're right. And the thing is, I've always said that technology should never drive customer experience. Customer experience should always drive technology. So many companies start with technology and then try and cram it into the customers' lives, when we should all be taking that working backwards mindset, understand the customers, understand their needs, understand the experiences that will deliver the needs, and then understand the technology that will deliver those. And when this all first started, I was like, maybe I need to rethink this. Maybe it does just need to be right. Just technology, forget customers, just get your technology right. But as it's progressed, I've realized that no, that still is a fundamental truth, that if you want to deliver superior customer experiences, you need to design your technology and implement technology that is there to deliver the experiences, that deliver the needs, and meet the expectations, that deliver successful outcomes for your customers. It still has to have that flow. You can't just go out there and be like, Google what technology is going to be good during COVID-19 and then download. It's not going to work that way. You still need to have those core fundamentals, but just understand the constraints that we're working with.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. We've got about 7, 8 minutes left. I want to pivot to some audience comments and questions. Our buddy Chris Strubb is on, and he is actually, he just gave us some emojis. He actually took your peace emoji or your, what do we call that? Because I guess this is peace, right? What do we call that one?
Yeah, so there's various names for it. You can call them the horns, if you want.
All right. Well, he gave you the horns emoji back.
Well, thank you.
Sarbjeet said, great comments, Dan. Thank you. And we need a new term, augmented customer service. I think that's really interesting. Yeah, it's that combination of human and technology together. And the technology, the first thing you have to train the bot is to know when to hand off to the human and to step aside when it gets too complicated. Lisa Sedlik sends a question, and thank you, Lisa, for being here again. Do you think, I'm going to send this to you, James, do you think that this staying at home and customers getting what they want on demand brought to their home will be what we need to prepare for? I think we need to be ready to respond faster, but not lose the quality. So in other words, if I can sort of restate, how much of what we're now experiencing as our reality, groceries being delivered, et cetera, do we think is going to continue after this?
It's hard to say, but I think there is going to definitely be a percentage of people that go, oh, that's pretty cool. I'm going to just carry on doing that. So I just don't know what that percentage is. So, I mean, talking from personal experience, I very rarely have ever had groceries delivered before. Now I'm kind of like, you know what? It's pretty cool, pretty easy. There are still things that are wrong with it. There are still things that need to be improved. But it's something that I'm very likely to continue with afterwards. I mean, we were kind of primed for it. Amazon primed us all for it with, click a button, turns up at your house. Wicked. So we've all been primed for it. We're all ready. We're all, our expectations have been molded in such a way that we are ready to have more delivery type things for many different facets. The problem is Amazon are so hot at it, I won't swear, so good at it, that everyone else has got to live up to it. And of course, Amazon had this bar so high the entire time. Now everyone else is struggling to just try and get so close to it that I think if this were 10 years ago, we'd be going, wow, this is the best thing in the world. These companies delivering are amazing. But because our expectations have evolved every single day, largely because of Amazon, a lot of companies aren't meeting those expectations. I think at the moment, we're giving them leeway. I think at the moment, as customers, we're going, look, we understand we're not going to get too annoyed if you didn't send the right beer or the right color top milk, whatever. But that's only going to last for a certain period of time before we start to go, hang on a second, you really should be on this now. You really should be improving those experiences. You've had long enough now to get better at this. There's enough good examples in the world that you can learn from to not be so crappy at it. So it's not really a proper answer. I don't really have a proper answer.
Well, you did. I don't know if you noticed this, but you did just come up with what I think is your ideal next book title. Amazon primed us for this. See what you did there?
Did I actually say that?
Yeah, you did. You said Amazon primed us for this. I like that.
I'm smarter than I thought. I'm quite proud of that one, accidentally. Yeah.
Nick Glimsdale, thank you for joining us as well. Nick, he says people are doing business with people. Yeah, I mean, I've always said, I don't know if you get this, James, but one of the most frequent questions I get after speaking on stage is, hey, you know, this is a great presentation, really interesting, but does this apply to B2B? And my stock answer, which I know you'll appreciate because I know you can be prone occasionally to some sarcasm, is, well, that depends. Do you market to human beings? And I sort of wait for them for that to register, right? and of course, this stuff is important in B2B because we are marketing to people. People are doing business with people, as Nick said, whether you're in B2C or in B2B. And I think that is very, very important. What I was saying before about all the things that we're experiencing from working from home and pets and kids and whatever, you know, when you're dealing with clients or when you're dealing with vendors, depending on which side of the table you're on, we all have to laugh it off a little bit and be a little bit more flexible and understanding that this is what's going on. And yeah, we're all trying to keep the kids and the pets off the screen. And sometimes we're successful and sometimes we're not.
Yeah, well, it's really interesting you bring up the B2B thing, and I suppose this is a little bit off topic, but it's worth bringing up anyway.
Sure.
I honestly believe that philosophically, there is no such thing as a B2B company. Okay, we're all B2C companies. It's just a lot of companies have more B's in between their B and the C than others. So you might be a B2B to B to B2C company. But you need to understand those B's in the middle and that chain. It's rather than thinking of those other B's as your customers, right? What I advocate is understand how many B's there are in the chain. Don't see them as customers, see them as partners. Because at the end of the day, if that end customer doesn't receive value, they're not going to give money to that company, who's not going to give money to that company, who's not going to give money to you. So I think we kind of really need to reframe that, work as partners with other businesses that we would traditionally see as B2B, all to try and deliver the best experience to that end user, that final customer.
I think that's an awesome point, James. And yeah, in almost every industry, there's a C at the end of the day. I mean, at some point, some B that you sell to is still selling to a C. And I mean, I've referred to and even worked for, you know, companies that I would call B2B to C, but I've never really thought about the fact that there, you know, you could be 3 or 4 or 5 B's in there, and eventually you're going to get to that C. I got one more question for you because we're at time, but Alex Mead has written in and says, hey, James, do you have any sympathy for the companies that are struggling now to serve their customers as they've been caught out by COVID-19, which is really only highlighting their existing really poor customer contact models?
The way that is, hi, Alex, the way that is asked kind of leads, I feel there's
a leading witness. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes and no. It's a hard one to answer, man.
Let me try to rescue you here for a second. I think that what's happened is that COVID-19 has simply amplified the importance of customer experience. And I've been saying to my clients and customers, that customer experience has never been more important. And so because customer service, as Alex mentioned, is a big part of customer experience, yeah, it's going to highlight the good and it's going to highlight the bad right now. Because I've been dealing with a company personally where I am trying to get a hold of them. They don't answer their phone. They don't email back. I can't get them on social media. I even had because the website says please call us, and the phone says please go to our website, but the website doesn't have the information. And for the first time ever the other day, I had a company put me on hold for 5 minutes and then tell me that my queue time had expired, and they hung up on me. And it's like, and you call back and you're on for another 5 minutes, and then your queue time expires and they hang up on you. So yeah, I mean, when I can finally, extract my business from this company, I'm going to, and so I do have some sympathy in the sense that where I do think we should have sympathy is again on the human element. Is that when you're talking to a customer service agent, they're going through what you're going through, lay off them, etc. Go ahead, James.
Yeah, well, I think I do have sympathy for the companies that have been caught out by it, because we've all been caught out by it. But there's a line where my sympathy stops, because there are decisions that are being made now with this new world, this new information, that are crappy decisions that I can't have sympathy for them. This situation has shed a lot of light on every single company, and it's going to be make or break for most companies out there. The way they deal with this situation now is really going to define them for a generation, maybe even longer. And the way I'm thinking about it is, if you can't be there for your customers in the bad times, don't expect them to be there for you in the good times.
Fantastic point, and a great one to end on, James. Thank you so much. Really good stuff from the CX Rockstar himself, and the number one CXer in the UK. What's the official title?
So, not that I'm not the best person at customer experience. I'm the best person at talking about customer experience. Apparently, Customer Experience magazine named me as the UK's #1 customer experience influencer. So essentially,
I think that counts as #1 at customer experience. I think you just shorten it. It's easier to read. Well, thank you so much, James. Really do appreciate it. You guys can follow James on LinkedIn, on Twitter. He's at Dodkins. His website is jamesdodkins.com. Great content, and certainly if you are musically inclined, always fun. So thank you so much, James. Thank you again for joining us on the Experience Maker. Next week, we are going to have another good friend of mine. I don't know if you've noticed, but everybody that I have on is a friend of mine, because I have some really cool friends, and I just like listening to them talk and teach me and you at the same time. But we're going to hear next week, let's shift gears a little bit, from Kate Bradley Chernus, who is the CEO of a social media publishing platform called Lately, which I use all the time. I'm a big fan of it. They're using some AI to do really, really cool stuff that has really changed the game in the social media publishing industry. So please join us next week for that. Again, I'm Dan Gingiss, and you can find me at dangingiss.com or on Twitter at dgingiss. This is the Experience Maker Show. We're here every Thursday, 4 p.m. Eastern. Tell your friends, tell your family, gather around the computer and come talk to us, because we love having you here. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next week on the Experience Maker.